The crystalline chamber of the United Nations Extraterrestrial Contact Facility gleamed with an antiseptic brightness that did nothing to calm the tension crackling through the air. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the room, her tailored charcoal suit a stark contrast to the sleek, otherworldly technology surrounding her. Behind her, a carefully selected team of diplomats, scientists, and military advisors maintained a disciplined silence. The Zortak delegation materialized through a shimmering quantum transit field, three towering beings that defied easy description. Their bodies seemed to shift between solid and translucent, with elongated limbs that moved with an unsettling, liquid grace. Metallic exoskeletons glinted beneath translucent skin, intricate biomechanical implants pulsing with an inner blue light that spoke of technological advancement far beyond human comprehension. The lead Zortak representative, identifiable by the more elaborate neural connectors spiraling around its head, stepped forward. Its voice emerged not as sound, but as a direct neural transmission that reverberated through the minds of every human in the room. Contempt dripped from each telepathic syllable. "We come as a courtesy," the being transmitted, its mental voice cold and clinical. "Humanity has been identified as a Class D emerging species, barely worthy of formal acknowledgement in the Galactic Confederation. Your technological development is primitive, your social structures fractured, your potential negligible." Elena Rodriguez met the alien's gaze without flinching. Years of diplomatic training, coupled with a lifetime of scientific rigor, had prepared her for this moment. She knew every movement, every micro-expression would be analyzed not just by the Zortak, but by the entire world watching through carefully concealed cameras. "We acknowledge your assessment," she responded, her voice steady and clear. A slight smile played at the corner of her mouth, not a gesture of submission, but of something else entirely. "Humanity welcomes the opportunity for dialogue." The Zortak's neural transmission carried a distinct undertone of dismissal. Holographic displays materialized, showing humanity's most significant technological achievements, displays that looked pathetically rudimentary compared to the alien technology surrounding them. Primitive spacecraft, early quantum computing prototypes, medical imaging technologies that seemed like children's toys compared to the Zortak's apparent capabilities. "Your species has not even achieved stable interstellar travel," the lead representative transmitted. "Your understanding of quantum mechanics is equivalent to an infant's comprehension of advanced mathematics. The Galactic Confederation has observed your development for centuries. You are not a threat. You are not even a consideration." Behind Elena, Colonel Marcus Takeda, head of Earth's nascent extraterrestrial defense initiative, gripped his tablet so tightly his knuckles turned white. His team had prepared extensively for this moment, analyzing every possible scenario. Yet nothing could have prepared them for the raw, unfiltered contempt radiating from the alien delegation. Elena's response came with calculated precision. "We understand, and we appreciate your candor." The Zortak seemed momentarily confused by her lack of aggression, her complete absence of defensiveness. In their millennia of galactic interactions, species typically responded with either abject terror or futile posturing. This measured response was unexpected. As the meeting concluded, the lead Zortak representative made a gesture that was simultaneously a dismissal and a subtle show of technological superiority. A small device, seemingly carelessly dropped, lay on the conference table. To the Zortak, it was nothing more than a minor technological component, a piece of equipment so basic it wasn't worth retrieving. They did not know that this single, apparently insignificant device would change everything. Dr. Rodriguez's eyes followed the alien delegation as they prepared to depart, her mind already racing with possibilities. The humans in the room might have appeared small, might have been deemed insignificant by these galactic travelers. But insignificance, she knew, was often just a matter of perspective. Beneath the sprawling research complex of the Global Technological Consortium, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a collection of the world's most brilliant minds. The massive underground facility, carved into the bedrock of the Chilean Andes, hummed with an intensity that matched the collective determination of its occupants. "This is not just a research project," she announced, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of quantum processors and holographic displays. "This is our response to the Zortak's dismissal." The device left behind during the first contact meeting lay at the center of a circular platform, surrounded by an array of scanning equipment that represented the pinnacle of human technological innovation. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, a quantum physics expert from Tokyo University, had been studying the artifact for precisely 72 hours without rest. "It's more than a simple technological component," Nakamura explained, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "The molecular structure suggests a quantum communication substrate that defies our current understanding of physics. Each nanolayer contains information matrices that are simultaneously present and absent, a state our current quantum computing models can barely comprehend." Around the room, representatives from every major technological research center listened intently. There was Dr. Aisha Okonkwo from the African Quantum Research Institute, Dr. Carlos Mendez from the Latin American Advanced Technology Center, and Dr. Ivan Volkov from the Eurasian Scientific Collaborative. They were no longer competing nations, but a unified human research team. Colonel Marcus Takeda moved between the workstations, his military background providing a structured approach to the seemingly chaotic research environment. "We're not just reverse engineering," he stated. "We're learning to think like the Zortak, while remaining fundamentally human." The breakthrough came unexpectedly, as scientific discoveries often do. It was Dr. Elena Rodriguez herself who noticed the subtle quantum resonance pattern, a harmonic frequency that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. What the Zortak considered a throwaway piece of technology was actually a complex communication node, its design so advanced that it seemed to blur the line between technology and living system. "They didn't just drop this," Rodriguez whispered, her eyes wide with realization. "They were testing us." Within weeks, the research team had begun to unlock the device's secrets. They discovered quantum communication principles that human scientists had only theorized about. The Zortak's contemptuous gift became the key to humanity's most significant technological leap in history. Dr. Nakamura developed a breakthrough quantum entanglement communication prototype that could transmit information instantaneously across massive distances. Dr. Okonkwo's team created adaptive nanomaterials that could restructure themselves in response to environmental challenges. Dr. Mendez's group developed quantum computing algorithms that made existing technology look like ancient abacuses. The global scientific community worked with a unity never before seen in human history. National boundaries dissolved, replaced by a singular purpose. Every research center, every university, every technological institute became part of a massive, coordinated effort. Colonel Takeda's military advisors began integrating these new technologies into defensive and offensive strategic models. What had started as a scientific endeavor was quickly becoming humanity's preparation for potential conflict. "The Zortak believed we were insignificant," Rodriguez said during a closed-door briefing. "They gave us a gift and called it garbage. We're about to show them the true meaning of human potential." In research facilities around the world, a new era of human technological development was beginning, an era that would change the course of galactic history forever. The first wave of Zortak ships descended like a metallic storm, their quantum-shifted hulls cutting through Earth's atmosphere with terrifying precision. Massive vessels that defied the laws of known physics hung in the sky over major cities: New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, Lagos, casting kilometer-wide shadows that blocked out the sun. At 3:47 UTC, the first energy weapons fired. Manhattan became a landscape of destruction within moments. Quantum resonance beams sliced through skyscrapers, turning decades of human architecture into clouds of molten debris. The initial strike was designed to be overwhelming, to crush human resistance before it could even begin. The Zortak had methodically analyzed human defensive capabilities and found them wanting. They were monumentally wrong. In the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Marcus Takeda watched the initial assault with a cold, calculated calm. The quantum communication protocols they had reverse-engineered from the earlier device now proved their true value. While Zortak weapons sought to destroy physical infrastructure, human defenses had become something entirely unexpected. Adaptive Response Protocol activated. A synthesized voice announced. Across the targeted cities, a network of quantum-shielded defense systems came online. These were not traditional weapons, but something far more sophisticated, systems that could read and counter alien weapon frequencies in microseconds. In New York, what appeared to be ordinary buildings transformed. Nano-adaptive materials developed by Dr. Aisha Okonkwo's team shifted and restructured, creating energy dispersal fields that fragmented the Zortak's most powerful attacks. Quantum-entangled defense grids, developed by Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, predicted and nullified incoming weapons before they could fully materialize. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now coordinating global defense strategies, understood the true nature of their response. "We're not just defending," she transmitted to regional command centers. "We're demonstrating." The Zortak had expected a simple extermination. Instead, they encountered a species that treated technological warfare like a language, one they were becoming frighteningly fluent in. Scattered across the globe, human resistance took forms the alien invaders could never have anticipated. In Mumbai, local engineers hijacked the quantum communication frequencies, creating cascading interference patterns that began to destabilize Zortak ship systems. In Sao Paulo, a makeshift research team used the alien technology against itself, creating quantum entanglement traps that began to isolate and neutralize individual alien vessels. The invasion, designed to be a surgical strike of total annihilation, was transforming into something entirely different. Colonel Takeda's voice remained steady as he issued commands. "We are not hiding. We are not surviving. We are responding." Orbital defense satellites, previously unknown to the Zortak, came online. These were not simple kinetic or nuclear platforms, but quantum adaptive systems that could literally reshape their defensive and offensive capabilities in real time. Each satellite was a living, thinking defense network that learned and adapted faster than any alien targeting system could track. By the end of the first 24 hours, the Zortak had lost nearly 40% of their initial invasion force. Not through conventional destruction, but through a form of technological warfare that seemed to violate everything they understood about combat. They had come to eliminate a species. Instead, they had awakened humanity's true potential. The war room beneath the Andes Research Complex buzzed with an energy that defied the gravity of their situation. Major General Sophia Chen stood at the holographic strategy table, her fingers tracing intricate battle patterns that seemed to dance between mathematical precision and artistic chaos. "They're predictable," she muttered, more to herself than to the assembled team of military strategists and quantum warfare specialists. The Zortak approach to combat is fundamentally algorithmic. They've optimized their military doctrine to the point of absolute rigidity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez nodded, her eyes reflecting the shifting holographic displays. The initial invasion had revealed more about the alien civilization than they could have imagined. Each Zortak military engagement followed a near-perfect mathematical model, brilliant in its complexity, yet fatally vulnerable to true creativity. Colonel Marcus Takeda brought up a series of tactical simulations. "We're not fighting their war," he explained. "We're fighting our own." The human response was nothing short of revolutionary. Traditional military doctrine gave way to a new form of warfare that blended psychological warfare, technological improvisation, and a level of adaptability that the Zortak found incomprehensible. In the Mediterranean theater, a multinational task force led by Commander Rafael Oliveira demonstrated this new approach. When Zortak ships attempted to establish a beachhead near the Strait of Gibraltar, the human response was anything but conventional. Instead of a direct confrontation, they used quantum-entangled communication networks to create massive holographic deceptions. Entire fleet formations appeared and disappeared. Supply lines seemingly shifted impossibly. The Zortak targeting systems, designed for absolute precision, began to break down under the psychological strain of constant uncertainty. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura's team had developed what they called cognitive dissonance weapons, technological systems that didn't just interfere with alien communications, but actively introduced logical paradoxes into their computational networks. It was warfare conducted at the level of mathematics and perception. In the Pacific, a group of marine engineers and quantum physicists developed mobile platforms that could literally reshape their molecular structure in real time. What appeared to be a simple naval vessel could transform into a complex defensive platform within milliseconds, rendering traditional alien targeting completely ineffective. "We're not just fighting," Major General Chen explained during a global strategy briefing. "We're demonstrating the fundamental difference between optimized intelligence and adaptive intelligence." The Zortak had spent millennia perfecting their military doctrine. They had mathematical models that could predict conflict outcomes with near absolute certainty. They had never encountered a species that viewed warfare as a creative act rather than a computational problem. Human strategies defied prediction. A defensive line would suddenly become an offensive thrust. What appeared to be a retreat was actually an elaborate trap. Military units composed of soldiers from different countries, different backgrounds, each brought unique perspectives that made human tactics fundamentally unpredictable. In the skies above major cities, quantum adaptive defense systems played a constant game of technological cat and mouse with alien attack formations. Each engagement was a lifetime learning experience, with human systems adapting faster than the Zortak could recalibrate their attacks. "They came to eliminate us," Colonel Takeda said quietly, watching another successful defensive engagement. "They're beginning to understand that elimination might be impossible." The tide of war was turning, not through superior firepower, but through something far more powerful: the uniquely human capacity to transform challenge into opportunity. The discovery came in the most unexpected of moments, a quiet breakthrough in the middle of humanity's most desperate hour. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura had been awake for 72 consecutive hours, his fingers moving across quantum interfaces with a precision that bordered on instinct. The research facility beneath the Andes Mountains hummed with an electric tension, banks of quantum computers processing information at speeds that would have been impossible just months earlier. "It's not just a communication network," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's a living system." The Zortak's quantum communication infrastructure, their most closely guarded technological marvel, contained a fundamental flaw that no one had ever detected. Each quantum entanglement node was simultaneously a communication channel and a potential vulnerability. What the aliens considered their greatest strength was actually their most significant weakness. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned in, her eyes reflecting the cascading holographic data. "We're not just going to break their network," she realized. "We're going to unravel it completely." The plan was audacious. Using the quantum communication principles they had reverse-engineered from the initial device, left during first contact, humanity would launch a multi-layered attack that was part technological warfare, part mathematical exploit. Colonel Marcus Takeda assembled a team unlike any in military history. Quantum physicists worked alongside cryptographers. Neural network specialists collaborated with xenocommunication experts. Military strategists partnered with theoretical mathematicians. The boundaries between disciplines dissolved in the face of an existential threat. Their target was the Zortak's primary quantum communication hub, a massive nexus that coordinated their entire galactic communication and military infrastructure. Located in what they believed was an impenetrable system near the galactic core, the hub was the nervous system of the Zortak civilization. The attack would come in waves of increasing complexity. First, a series of quantum entanglement disruptions that would create logical paradoxes within their communication network. Then, a cascading series of computational exploits that would introduce increasingly complex error states into their system. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo's team had developed what they called cognitive viruses, mathematical constructs that could propagate through quantum communication channels, introducing fundamental contradictions that would tear apart the aliens' computational infrastructure. "We're not just breaking their network," Okonkwo explained during the final briefing. "We're forcing their entire technological paradigm to collapse from within." The first wave of the attack began with mathematical precision. Quantum communication nodes began to destabilize, their perfectly optimized systems suddenly encountering impossible computational scenarios. What the Zortak had designed as an unbreakable network became a cascading system of failure. Communication channels fractured. Military coordination collapsed. The alien, seemingly invincible technological infrastructure began to unravel like a complex sweater pulled apart by a single precise thread. In the war room, Colonel Takeda watched the holographic displays with a sense of grim satisfaction. "They thought we were primitive," he said quietly. "They never understood that our greatest strength is our ability to see possibilities they cannot even imagine." The Zortak had come to eliminate humanity. Instead, they were witnessing the most profound technological dismantling in galactic history. The news traveled faster than light, propagating through quantum communication networks that humanity had only recently learned to master. Galactic civilizations watched in stunned silence as reports filtered in of the Zortak's unprecedented defeat. The Galactic Communication Hub, a massive neural network that connected thousands of sentient species, erupted in a cascade of disbelief, curiosity, and barely concealed fear. Humanity, a species previously classified as a negligible emerging civilization, had not just survived an invasion. They had comprehensively dismantled one of the most technologically advanced military forces in known space. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Confederation Council, a gathering of representatives from civilizations that had existed for millennia before human beings had discovered fire. The chamber was a marvel of interdimensional architecture, with delegates appearing simultaneously as physical beings and quantum projections. "We did not seek this conflict," she began, her voice calm and measured. The translation systems struggled to capture the nuanced humanity of her speech. "But we will not apologize for our response." The Vrex representative, a crystalline being that communicated through complex light patterns, pulsed with a mixture of confusion and reluctant admiration. The quantum archivists of the Nexus Collective found themselves recalibrating entire databases of species classification. The human demonstration of technological adaptability defied every predictive model in their archives. Colonel Marcus Takeda stood slightly behind Rodriguez, his presence a silent testament to the military precision that had accompanied their technological breakthrough. Around them, holographic displays showed fragments of the conflict, not as a celebration of victory, but as a clinical demonstration of capability. "Humanity has demonstrated a fundamental principle of survival," Rodriguez continued. "Adaptability is not just a strategy. It is an evolutionary imperative." The most remarkable aspect of humanity's emergence was not their military victory, but their approach to it. Where other species might have sought total annihilation, humans showed a nuanced understanding of conflict resolution. The Zortak were defeated, but not destroyed. Their communication networks were disrupted, but the potential for future dialogue remained. Representatives from more than 200 sentient species analyzed the human response. The quantum archivists discovered something unprecedented in their millennia of record-keeping. Humanity had not just developed technology, they had created a new paradigm of technological evolution. They did not just fight, the Nexus Collective transmission read. They transformed the very concept of technological warfare. Diplomatic envoys from across the galaxy began to approach Earth. No longer were humans seen as a primitive species to be ignored. They were now a civilization that had to be understood, respected, and, if necessary, carefully approached. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, the quantum physicist who had been instrumental in developing the technologies that dismantled the Zortak's communication network, received invitations from research institutions across multiple star systems. His work had become a case study in adaptive technological development. "We are not conquerors," Rodriguez stated during a subsequent press conference that was broadcast across multiple star systems. "We are explorers. We are problem solvers. We are human." The Galactic Confederation would never be the same. Humanity had not just entered the galactic stage. They had rewritten the rules of engagement entirely. The world had changed irrevocably. The unity forged during the Zortak invasion refused to dissolve, transforming global society in ways no one could have predicted. The United Nations Reconstruction Council met in what was once the devastated heart of Manhattan. Where alien weapons had once reduced skyscrapers to molten ruins, a new kind of architecture now rose. Adaptive structures that could self-repair, change shape, and integrate with the surrounding environment. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked through the rebuilt city, her fingers tracing the nano-responsive surfaces that told the story of human resilience. "We're not just rebuilding," she told the assembled global leaders. "We're reimagining." The war had stripped away old divisions. National boundaries became increasingly meaningless as humanity's collective experience reshaped global cooperation. Resources that were once hoarded were now shared. Technologies developed during the conflict were freely exchanged. The brilliant minds that had once competed now collaborated with an intensity that defied previous understanding. Colonel Marcus Takeda now led the Global Technological Integration Initiative. Military expertise merged with scientific innovation, creating a new approach to global challenges. Climate restoration projects that had seemed impossible now moved forward with unprecedented speed. The quantum communication technologies developed to fight the Zortak were now being applied to solve humanity's most pressing environmental challenges. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura's research teams worked alongside environmental scientists, using adaptive quantum technologies to regenerate damaged ecosystems. In the Amazon, nanotechnological systems began to restore rainforests with a precision that seemed almost magical. Ocean restoration projects used similar technologies to rebuild marine ecosystems devastated by centuries of human impact. The diplomatic landscape had transformed completely. Earth now had representation in the Galactic Confederation, with Ambassador Rodriguez becoming a pivotal figure in interstellar relations. But humanity's approach was unique. They were not conquerors. They were not supplicants. They were partners. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo led a new kind of scientific diplomacy. Research collaborations sprung up between human scientists and representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. The technologies developed during the conflict became a universal language of innovation. "We learned something profound," Okonkwo explained during a global broadcast. "Our strength is not in our weapons. It's in our ability to adapt, to understand, to collaborate." The survivors of the invasion became something more than they had been before. Cities rebuilt themselves not just as monuments to survival, but as living systems. Educational systems were completely redesigned, emphasizing adaptability, creative problem-solving, and collective intelligence. Military academies transformed into centers of strategic innovation. What was once a rigid hierarchical structure became a fluid network of thinkers, scientists, and strategic experts who could respond to challenges with unprecedented creativity. Colonel Takeda, speaking to a new generation of global defenders, captured the essence of their transformation. "We were never just fighting an external enemy," he told them. "We were discovering who we could become." The scars of the invasion remained, both physical and psychological, but they were scars of growth, not defeat. Humanity had faced an existential threat and emerged not just surviving, but fundamentally changed. They had come to the brink of extinction and discovered something more powerful than survival. They had discovered their true potential. The Starship Horizon cut through the darkness of space, a testament to humanity's transformed potential. Its quantum adaptive hull shimmered with technologies that would have seemed impossible just a decade earlier. Captain Maya Rodriguez, daughter of Elena Rodriguez, stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic star charts that mapped humanity's expanding frontier. 50 years had passed since the Zortak invasion. Humanity was no longer confined to a single planet, no longer a species waiting to be discovered. They had become something else entirely. A civilization of explorers, problem solvers, and bridge builders. The ship's quantum communication array hummed with a constant exchange of information. Research stations spread across multiple star systems worked in real-time collaboration, each new discovery shared instantaneously. What was once a competitive scientific landscape had become a truly global, now truly galactic, network of innovation. Approaching the nexus boundary, the ship's AI announced. Its voice was neither completely synthetic nor entirely human, much like humanity itself had become. Their current mission was unprecedented. A joint expedition with the quantum archivists and 3 other galactic civilizations, exploring the fundamental limits of quantum communication and interstellar travel. The Zortak, now diplomatic partners rather than enemies, provided critical historical data that complemented human ingenuity. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura's final research, completed just before his death, had opened pathways of understanding that transformed humanity's relationship with the universe. His theories about quantum consciousness had become the foundation of a new scientific paradigm that connected biological intelligence with technological potential. Captain Rodriguez remembered the stories passed down from her mother. How humanity had been viewed as insignificant. How a single drop device had become the key to their survival. How a moment of dismissal had transformed into humanity's greatest opportunity. The ship's secondary mission was equally important. They were carrying quantum restoration technologies to help repair ecological systems on several developing planets. Humanity had learned that true exploration was not about conquest, but about understanding and healing. Quantum stabilization protocols engaged, the AI reported. The ship began to interface with the surrounding space in ways that defied traditional understanding of physics. Quantum entanglement allowed them to simultaneously exist in multiple potential states, a technology that had emerged from the crucible of the Zortak conflict. Communications from Earth, now a sprawling, unified planetary network, came through. Research updates, diplomatic negotiations, ecological restoration projects. The boundaries between scientific disciplines, between planets, between species, had become fluid. The Zortak representative on board, Ambassador Zixtal, observed the human crew with a mixture of respect and continued fascination. Their civilization had been fundamentally changed by the encounter with humanity, a species that refused to be defined by limitations. "We are approaching the quantum resonance point," Navigator Chen announced. The bridge crew, a diverse team representing multiple human colonies and alien partner civilizations, worked with a synchronicity that was uniquely human. Captain Rodriguez smiled. They were no longer fighting for survival. They were exploring the boundaries of possibility. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed the very concept of what a civilization could be.